I grew up in New York City.
New Haven, Connecticut.
Denver, Colorado.
Born in Moldova.
In Israel.
Boston.
Frankfurt, Germany.
Baltimore, Maryland.
Brooklyn, New York.
The Bronx.
I remember when somebody asked me, how come that there's so many people from the East out here? I said, because that's as far west as you can go.
Coming to California was an opportunity to start over.
Always had wanted to move to California.
I wanted a Shabbat community.
I wanted to start an internet company.
Moving from the East Coast to the Bay Area was difficult.
Not originally in any way an enthusiast.
It's certainly a struggle here to participate Jewishly.
On Passover, you couldn't find a store that sold matzahs.
I hated it the first 6 months.
A little more spread out, a little more hidden sometimes.
A little bit more challenging to find it.
I struggled. I went to different shuls and services.
Once you find them, it's family all over again.
San Francisco soon felt like home.
And then I felt so free when I came to the Bay Area. There was this incredible openness.
My idea of bohemian heaven.
Hippies and peace and love.
Just a little bit of less pressure.
I was myself. I was in my element.
That's a very special kind of environment.
We're on a kind of frontier here.
We loved the interest in innovation.
Community of people who are seeking out the
For
future.
people looking for something new.
No one's looking down on anybody, and no one's tisk-tisking.
That has transformed my life.
California was incredibly good to my family.
We have this homegrown family now.
It is where I belong.
Here, who wants to fight? We're living in paradise.
My name is Renna Khuner-Haber. I work for a Jewish environmental organization called Chazon.
We're Sharon and Shakked, and we live in Marin and have 2 little boys, aged 4.5 and 6.
I am a Berkeley native and spent my life in the Bay Area until 18 and then went to school in New York for 5 years.
I grew up in the Bay Area. I'm a Marin girl, and I grew up in Tiburon and led a typical American lifestyle there, going to high school as being a cheerleader, and had a very, very Jewish upbringing as well.
I went to Barnard College, which is very Jewish. I think maybe a third of the students there or so are Jewish. A lot of them are modern Orthodox. And I also was at the Jewish Theological Seminary, getting 2 bachelor degrees.
So I grew up in Israel. I'm in a very secular family. Almost never went to synagogue. Only bar mitzvah, my bar mitzvah, and probably friends' bar mitzvahs.
And my last year in New York, I was having a really hard time. There was no kind of trying to think outside of the box and being creative with that and trying other things. It just felt really structured in a not fun way for me.
And then I came here, and after a couple years here, I noticed that unless I really did something proactive myself to feel Jewish, to connect with Judaism, to feel the holidays that I had grown up with, life could just go by, and I wouldn't feel at all connected.
When I did try to express myself, I was recycling and composting and biking and going to the farmer's market, and people saw me as this crunchy Jew. And to be seen as this other person who is so weird, and yet we can kind of laugh at her and make fun. It just didn't feel good to me.
We met, and Sharon was very involved in Jewish activities and Jewish experience in the Bay Area, and I initially resisted.
And then I felt so free when I came to the Bay Area. I felt like I was myself. I was in my element.
We went to services, and it was a completely different experience than what I could remember in Israel. I first could sit next to her and next to other people, other friends, and the prayers were explained.
I wanted a Shabbat community. I wanted a place where I could go somewhere on Friday night for davening, for praying, and then Saturday spend all day with people, having meals and singing and walking outside, whatever it was, but in that context. Today is Shabbat. And I ended up in the Mission District of San Francisco largely because of that search.
And I felt community. I felt that these people were my community, and it really didn't take long for it to click, and I loved it.
I came to the mission specifically because I'd heard about the Mission Minyan, which is an independent minyan.
It really made me feel great, made me feel Jewish again.
And after having been in New York, where there were many, many Jews, and many places that I could go for services, and many different, ways to have Shabbat meals and this and that, I never felt that I had a community there. I always felt like I was searching for something, and I immediately felt welcomed here at the Mission Minyan.
Today, I think, we have 2 kids who are growing up very, very Jewish, very, very involved because of the things that we incorporate into our lives.
I would say kind of at the core, the people who are behind the decision-making, a lot of them are from maybe Orthodox backgrounds, conservative backgrounds. So in terms of their observance level and their knowledge level, they do adhere to some or all of Jewish law of halacha.
Every Friday night, we have committed as a family that we don't go out. We're together for Shabbat. There's no TV, there's no computer. We have Shabbat dinner together.
Friday night, I go to usually the Mission Minyan for Friday night prayer, and then I go somewhere for a meal. The energy of that day completely shifts. Like if I've been having a really hard day, challenging day, it's been a really long week, especially if I get to lead services, I'm just like totally in a different space.
During the dinner, we have a tradition that anyone who's at the table, and we like to welcome people to our table for Shabbat, there are 3 questions that everyone needs to answer.
I'm really excited that there still is a vibrant Jewish community in the Bay Area, and it's a little bit more challenging to find it.
What are you grateful for that happened this week? What was hard for you to do this week, but you did it anyway? And how did you make the world a better place this week?
If I didn't have Shabbat on a regular basis, I don't know if my Judaism would be as deep, as strong, as important, as nourishing as it is for me. But it can't happen without community.
From a very young age, that's what our kids think about. How do they make the world a better place every single week? And they need to have something because we're going to ask about it every Friday night.